Welcome to my class, to my talk. Topic of my talk is positive psychology and what is the useful of positive psychology to help us in fighting this COVID-19 pandemic, and how do we do it as individuals. And as you probably already know, this crisis has become international global health issues. In fighting these global issues, so we have done a lot. People around the world have been fighting this together. And this crisis requires a lot of big-scale social change, social behavior change, such as quarantine, or such as stop working or working at home. Even for planning weddings or having children could be affected by this pandemics. So how much as individuals we can fight this crisis? How much psychology, particularly positive psychology, can help us? So tonight, I will share with you two my comments. Number one, why positive psychology is very important to almost everybody around the world. Number two, as individuals, what we can do about it. So those are the two questions. And if you have a specific comments, also specific questions, my assistant, Dr. Zhao, will answer those questions later on. So today, I will focus on those two topics. One thing we probably already know that we have been witness the big social change that causes burdens on individuals psychologically. So where's kind of a stress probably already happens to people, even you, in front of a TV or in front of computer screens. We have lots of anxieties. Anxieties about health, the physical health, psychological health, maybe health about your family members or friends, maybe some concerns about your career, what we should do in the future. Maybe you have something concerned about your societies, communities, your countries, even all humanities could be affected by this crisis. Then we have seen mixed emotions from individuals, fear, anger, suspicions, depressions. Of course, we also see some forms of courage, like those medical professionals. They help people with their professional skills, with this courage. And maybe people do feel a certain little bit of pride because they have done something very good. So we can see various kind of mixed emotions happening around the world. All those emotional responses, all those psychological responses people have, are all natural, meaning that it's very common. And it's also pretty much consistent with all human natures. For various years, long-time evolutions, we humans have experienced lots of disease, famines, war, and lots of dangers. For fighting those dangers, we develop physiologically this so-called axis of stress response. This axis including three very important glands in our human minds: hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, even adrenal glands. All those things working together release stress hormones, enhance our bodily response, like blood circulations, or even enhance your bone and the muscle strength. Because when we have this kind of a natural response, we can fight or we can flight. If we can win the battles, we fight. If we cannot, we escape. So those are the natural response. Then we go to this relaxed, also rest states because we have done our job. The problem is that for various reasons, people develop the poor coping strategies with this stress, dangers, anxieties. The common poor coping strategies, including overanalyzing. Sometimes we think too much. Harvard psychologist Dan Gilbert actually conducted this very interesting research many years ago. He gave 2,000 people this BB, the cell phone, the BB phone, asked people to tell psychologists, what are you doing right now at this moment? What did he find out? Surprisingly, 46% of the time we spend on doing nothing. And sometimes we're thinking too much, not about necessarily solving the problems, thinking too much about the consequences, complex social relations, thinking about the issues that may not help us to cope in the problems, the issues. So the Greek philosophers, Epictetus, actually said, what upsets the people most is not necessarily the problem themselves, but how we think about those problems. So that's what we call the over-analyzing. Sometimes we probably have to simple something, straightforward, problem solving, and try to think less, doing more. That's the second problem people have when they're coping with stress, is doing nothing. We find that doing nothing actually not help you. Actually, sometimes it might hurt you. Sometimes we develop these addictive behaviors, like drug addictions, working addictions. Some people overwork, just try to escape from the stress. Sexual addictions, some people do that. So you can see all those addictive behaviors may somehow calm us a little bit, but it has a huge price because you would depend on those addictive stimulus. Sometimes people suppress the emotion. They don't want to talk. They don't want to spend the time with families. They sleep in the bed. They're hiding in the room. They're not doing something that is very active. It may help us to release those stress hormones. And sometimes people may hurt other people, very likely the people close to them. Sometimes they hurt themselves. That's why we have seen this increase in suicides around the world with this very dangerous pandemics. So what do we should do? Actually, positive psychology believes that we probably should learn something about the positive psychology. This is the insight from this very famous white bear experiments. Harvard psychologist, another Daniel, his name is Wagner. Professor Wagner actually asked his students in the classroom to do this very interesting psychology experiment, to think about the white bear in your mind. You can do that right now. Almost everybody can do that. It's human nature. It's called image thinking. We can all do that. Then he asked people, try very hard to not to think about this white bear. He finds it's almost impossible. People just cannot do two things together. Thinking about the white bear, not to thinking about the white bear, we cannot do that. So this is what we call the white bear effect. It's actually, the Chinese call that rebound effect. For those people who want to reduce the fat, the more you try, the less succeed. Also, those people who try not to think about the painful experience, the traumas, or distress experience, the more you want to do it, the less likely you will succeed. So this is what we call the rebound effect. So is there any way we can solve the problems? Actually, you probably already think about something. You already come up with some ideas. The idea is not to think about the white bear. You can think about the brown bear, right? Or you think about your children. Think about the flowers in your garden. Think about something else, something positive, appealing, very pleasant, very happy. Then probably you will forget this white bear. So this is the insight of positive psychology. Instead of fighting very hard with those emotional stress, we can think about something positive. This is where the positive psychology comes from. Professor Martin Seligman, a very famous psychologist from University of Pennsylvania, he was elected as the president of American Psychological Association in 1999. He proposed this interesting idea. He argued that psychologists probably should spend more time to discover the positive psychological strengths people already have, instead of tell people to control, to forget, to escape from those pains. He believed that positive psychology is a future of psychology that we can all work on in order to solve any kind of a human psychological problems. So he called this approach positive psychology. Why this approach is meaningful, is workable, is useful? The current president of International Positive Psychology Association was used to be a Berkeley student, so was one of my students. Now she's the president. Also professor, I think it's at Southern Carolina, University of South Carolina, and her name is Barbara Fredrickson. Barbara proposed this very interesting idea, is what we call the Broaden-and-Build theory of a positive mentality or positive emotion. She argued that all kinds of positive emotions people have, like joy, calm, gratitude, and also like hope and curiosity, particularly love, all those positive emotions can actually work as a resource. And that resource can enhance human strengths, human abilities. For instance, if you are very positive, you're probably going to broaden and build your physical strength. You heard a good news. You almost want to jump, right? Because you feel this energy and strength in your bodies. When you heard something very bad, you probably don't have any strength to go out, to exercise, to talk to people. So you can see positive psychology, positive emotion and mentality help you to build your physical strength. It can also help you to build your social strength. When you're happy, you want to talk to people. You want to share your happiness with everybody. When you're not happy, what do you want to do? You even don't want to talk to anybody. So the social relations, the social resource is not going to happen if you stay home, if you be alone, withdraw. So you can see the social resource could be helped by your positive psychology. When you feel positive, you actually have a strong mental strength. At that time, people teasing you, people joke about you, you feel good and you should laugh. But if you are not feeling good, when someone saying something, even not directly to you, you may feel insulted and you may feel very angry, resentful. So this is a mental resource could be helped by your positive mentality, positive psychology. She also proposed the intellectual abilities, the ability to solve problems could be helped by your positive psychology. So those people who produce great work, innovative research, actually at the positive moment, Professor Ababili from Harvard University, she followed those Nobel laureates, they win Nobel Prize. She found that those people win the Nobel Prize because they have a very pleasant personality, also a very healthy working habit. And many times when they make this groundbreaking discovery, at the time when they're very happy. So stress, anxieties, resentfulness, and the fear, it won't help you to solve any problems. So this is my advice to many people in my class. When someone generates some angry emotion to you, that person is actually trying to control your minds. So all those dictators always generate those angry emotions among mass. Therefore, so easy to control people's behaviors and people's mentalities. So positivity is actually good for innovation, good for creativities. There are many evidence. Because of time constraints, I'm probably not going to share many those research experience. Professor Christopher Peterson was my advisor, one of them advisor from Michigan. Many years ago, I was his teaching assistant in 1999 to 1992. Actually, he published this very interesting book. The title of his book is Pursuing the Good Life. He asked people around the world a simple question. What's good life in your mind? He found that at least 4 qualities of a human life could be considered as dimensions or psychological factors of good life. For good life, you have to enjoy the feeling of love or being loved. If you have ever loved anyone or been loved by anybody, you think your life is good. We psychologists don't believe it. We think there's something wrong in your mind. You have to feel playful, happy, enjoyable. If you never feel that way, your life is miserable. Good life is also requires certain level of service to other people, helping other people. So we have found the interesting evidence. Whenever people helping others, they feel good. Whenever people being helped by others, they don't necessarily feel very good. So you can see helping, service to other people can enhance your sense of good life. Of course, as human beings, we also need the sense of meanings. Sometimes we think about the meaning as religious callings or political goal, fight for great, very abstract, grandiose ideas. That's a meaning too, if you really believe it. But we think meaning is very simple. If you see the water, you feel some zen into it. There's meanings. If you look at your children, you feel the sense of happiness. That's meaning. If you enjoy your work, that's meanings. So my advice to everybody, whenever you feel doing something that you enjoy doing that, you feel good about doing that, you probably already find the meanings in the sense you're working on. So this is the evidence from positive psychology. Why it's very important for us? Because it can help us to replace, to change, to transcend the stress you may have. So this is very important. Then what we should do? Probably this is the questions you want to ask. Why now, right? How to be positive? A great Chinese philosopher by the name of Wang Yangming, 500 years ago, he already told us everyone is the same. Basically, everyone is wonderful. Everyone is a saki. You know everything. But not everybody is so wonderful, is so great. Why we are not so great? He proposed the two reasons that we have not doing enough. Number one, follow your conscience. In his idea, the conscience is follow your human natures. The second is practice what you discover, what you know. So you discover your nature, then practice it. Therefore, your heart will be content. So this is very interesting statements. Interestingly, with psychologists, particularly with positive psychologists, discover he's right. Whenever you follow your natures, so what is the human natures? There is a discipline in psychology called the evolutionary psychology. Positive psychology is pretty much based on the human evolution theories proposed by Charles Darwin. He argued that all the mental process, all the human traits we have, just like those animal traits, are results of many years of evolutions. So they're all very adaptive. When we say adaptive, meaning that they can help us to live longer so we can pass our genes to next generation. It can help us to reproductions, so also pass our genes to the next generations. So this is why we psychologists believe everything that can help us to live much longer, healthier, produce more offsprings, those things are very good. Interestingly, we discovered that human evolutionary mechanism, like natural selections, also like the sexual selections, actually select positive human traits. Sometimes when people talk about the human traits, they talk about those human animal instincts, the fighting spirits, the selfish genes. Those are the animal instincts. We humans are animals. We, of course, share some traits, just like all other animals. But we are humans. We have something that is unique, that is different. And that unique, different traits we find are all positive psychological traits. So we can all do in this thought experiment right now. Look at these pictures. There's a comparison between human beings and the chimpanzee, the closest species to our humans. Discover the differences between those two species. You may discover that all those human unique traits are corresponding to positive psychological traits. Look at the human. You know, we are vertical, right? We're vertical pose. We use 2 legs. All the species use 4 legs. So by using 2 legs, we humans like to standing up, look in front, look above. We don't want to use 4 hands or 4 legs. Whenever someone gives you $500 to work on your 4 legs, you feel be insulted, right? You feel you insult my personality or humans. The sense of being humans is actually the sense of standing up, look in front. That's a human spirit. We have many brain areas that are unique to human beings. We have learning areas that other species don't have. So human natures like readings. So almost everybody like to learn, like to read. We like those people who are good students. That's pretty much universal, particularly in Asian cultures, right? The Chinese really like those Tsinghua students because they are good students. They actually fulfill the human natures. We humans have brains to be talkative. So we like to talk. Professors like to talk, right? The boss like to talk. Almost everybody enjoys talking. Why? Because there's human natures. We humans have a brain area that is very unique. That is called the contemplating future. So we're all dreaming about the futures, particularly successful people, young people, healthy people. They like to talk about the future. Who are those people like to talk about the past? Those people who have failed, those people who are sick, those people who are dying. They're reminiscent about the past. So human beings actually future-driven, not past-driven. So Forget those theories about your birth family that determine your future. That's wrong. Forget about your past tragic experience shape up your future. That's wrong. Forget about Freud's ideas about the past conflict with your parents may decide your future. That's wrong. We already pretty much abandoned those ideas. Humans are unique, future-driven. We're always in the state of dreaming something better for us. That's the human spirit. And positive psychology discover lots of this kind of positive human traits. Because of time constraint, I just give you one or two examples. Let me summarize. So what evolution have selected the human traits? We have this idea of empathy. That's unique. So we can understand, we care about other peoples. So the parents coming home, the children talk to parents, are you looking for something? 2.5 years old kids can ask those questions, But no other species can ever ask those questions. No smart artificial intelligence machine can ask those questions because there's a human characteristics, there's a human traits. We humans have the ability of self-control, so we have moralities. Technically speaking, all the automobile, the auto-driving cars, technologically speaking, is already very successful. But however, people still have concern about that because who's going to make those tough decisions, the decision involving human moralities? Should I kill this person or not? If I don't kill the person, I'll be killed. If I kill the person, that person's family will be affected. Those are what we call the moral critical questions. Machine cannot make those judgments. We humans do the judgments. That's unique human characteristics. We like to learn, we like to care, we like to cooperate with other peoples. Many people believe humans are born with selfish genes. That's actually one interpretation of this famous book, Selfish Genes. The book actually says gene is selfish, but in order to pass your gene to next generation, we human beings should do unselfish deed. We have to help other people, increasing our chance of survive. If you are too selfish by yourself, nobody's going to help you. So when the animals attack you, no other human beings will help you out. But if you used to help other people, very likely other people will help you. That's the true meaning of selfish gene. It's not selfish, it's unselfish that help the selfish genes to pass on. So there are many knowledge we just don't know because we don't care about the psychology, we don't learn about the positive psychology. We have so much ideas from social Darwinism. That's a history, that's a theory of 100 years ago. We are at 21st century. We're at this so-called post-pandemic era. We need to have new ideas, new theories, new inspiration to help us out. So positive psychology is this kind of a new inspiration for all human beings around the world. Give you one example, a study I did many years ago. There's a very old nervous system. It's actually the longest nervous system in our human body. We have 10 nervous systems. The longest one, the oldest one, is called the vagus nerve. When we're human, we're animals. When we're walking with our forelegs, this vagus nerve is already there. But at that time, the vagus nerve is suppressed, is twisted. Just think about it. When you're walking, lower your head, the vagus nervous system is actually twisted. When we're standing up, the vagus nervous system somehow opening up. So whenever we're standing up, look ahead, our vagus nervous systems will smooth, will open. And that is why we discover this interesting new system, this interesting nervous systems is actually help us to feel the incredible human spirits. That is why whenever we see something beautiful, wonderful, great, we'll see how, right, in Chinese, or bravo, right, in other language, or in American English, wow. Whenever you express these appreciations, what do? You raise your head, open your heart, smooth out your vagus nervous system. You will say, wow. Nobody say, wow, why is it very hard, very difficult. Whenever we encounter something that is unpleasant, like the needles pinch your fingers, what you're going to see in Chinese, people will say, ayo. Nobody say ayo is going to be ayo. You suppress your vagus nervous system. In English, you will say ouch. Nobody say ouch. Ouch. That is why the human evolution always selects something corresponding to the wonderful human experience. That is why all these great structures and the structure we worship, it should be built very tall, very high, because it can help us to open up our vagus nervous system, to experience the human evolution selected the unique human traits, the vertical post, and also opening the vagus nervous systems. So the great German philosopher Immanuel Kant actually made this very interesting, thoughtful observations, comments, and he said, two things fill the minds with every new and a little bit difficult for me to see it, but you can see it's something that is wonderful opinions. So he said, the two things always make me feel uplifting, inspiring. That is the star in the sky, also the morality in his heart, in his mind. Why he put those scattering sky and the star in the sky, also the human morality together? Because he didn't say, he's a philosopher, he didn't know psychology. You probably already know the psychology. The secret of these two things can be put together is because the evolution make our vagus nervous system opening up. Let's give you examples. That is why we like to enjoy the moonshine, right? That's why we like climb the mountain top and look at all the mountains. Also, this is why we like look the sea, oceans, because all opening up the vagus nervous systems. That is the evolution select the human experience. So you can see all this human experience corresponding, coming from the evolutions. So that's the theory of positive psychology. But for many of you, probably want to ask, what do I can do as an ordinary individual? I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't care about those discoveries and research, and that's for you guys to publish papers. As ordinary students, individuals, is there anything that concrete enough we can do it? Yes, there are 5 things you can do. That's actually coming from Chinese Buddhist teachings. So you have to practice what you know. I already spent half hour to share with you the scientific discovery and research evidence of positive psychology. So you already know those knowledge and information. Now you should practice it. How to practice it? The 5 practice everybody can do because they're easy to do, and that is why Buddhist teaching believe that this is the easiest, simplest, naturalist behaviors everybody can do. You don't have to learn. You don't have to spend the money to buy it. You just practice it. Number 1, facial practice. There are many ways to practice your facial muscles. There's one facial muscle that's very important. That's smile. Number 2, bodily practice. That means you have to do some things. That we humans are action-oriented species. It's not because we have this way to relax. It's actually the way we act can help us to survive, can help us to succeed. Number 3, the verbal practice. You have to talk, because talking is a human abilities. Other species, they cannot enjoy verbal talk. They may show facial expressions, they may dance, but we humans can enjoy verbal talk. Friends get together, can talk for hours, even past midnight, because that's human behaviors. That's a behavior we really like, we really enjoy. We can have a mindful practice. Use your mental abilities. That's unique. We have a huge brains. Other species don't have it. All the brain powers you have to bring into your life, into your practice. So you have to be reflective. We have to visual practice. We have to engage visual practice. That's to enjoy things that are around you, that is beautiful, that is good, that is lovable, and just enjoy doing those things. You actually feel very good, very positive. So, give you a couple tips. Facial practice. There's one way can generate this very uplifting experience is what we call the Duchenne smile. So what is the Duchenne smiles? Actually, this idea was proposed by this French physicians, and his name is Duchenne. In 1860, he brought his neighbors to his psychology lab and hooked the facial muscles with all these electronic machines. He wanted to see if I stimulate which facial muscles, what kind of emotions this person will display. He discovered this very unique, very appealing, contagious facial muscle combination. And later on, Professor Paul Ekman from University of California used to be my colleague, and he named this typical, very contagious facial muscle combination with the name of Duchenne smile. This is a typical Duchenne smile face, the kids. You can see the muscle around mouth raising up and press the cheek muscles, then press the muscles in your eye corner, produce these eye wrinkles. And whenever you see this kind of smiling faces, you almost feel uncontrollably to laugh, to smile. And this is what I call the contagious Duchenne smiles. Sometimes, for various reasons, we display non-Duchenne smiles, like your job requirements, your students working in the airplane, or your secretary working in the front desk. Professionally, you have to smile. But you actually feel very bad. You have to take this class, Saturday night, listening to this psychology professor. You feel unpleasant. Then you have to fake your smile. However, we find whenever people fake the smiles, it's very hard for them to fake the eye wrinkles, because we can control the facial muscles around the mouth corner, even cheeks, but we cannot control the eye corner muscles. So we call this professional smiles. Sometimes we call that American smile, because American culture encourages these fake smiles. But of course, Chinese culture increases that too. We just make fun of American cultures. Anyway, that kind of smiles is usually perceived to be inauthentic. It's fake. Also, it's not contagious. When you look at this girl's fake smiles, you don't feel anything. Unlike the face of the baby, right? You feel smile at the same time. So let me give you a psychology test. Why now? This is a smile of Professor Paul Ekman, the very famous psychologist. And he gave us two smiles. Which one is authentic smile? Which one is a fake smile? You should be able to discover, right? The B is a fake smile. That is the value of studying psychology, right? That is why taking Webber course can help you to increase your pool of knowledge. Of course, everybody knows this lady. Her name is Julia Roberts, right? Very famous American actress. And she displayed these two smiles at this press conference. Which one is real? Which one is fake? You probably already noticed, right? The one on the right, that's a fake smile. It's a non-Duchenne smile. This is a boy, very popular in China among Chinese netizens, because he can display two kinds of smiles. The professional fake smile on the left. Of course, the true, authentic Duchenne smile on the right. So you can discover that. So some people may say, what's the big deal about that? It's actually have a huge deal about the Duchenne smiles. Many years ago, my dear friend, my colleague at the UC Berkeley, Professor Doug Keltner, and actually he conducted this very interesting research with one of our students, graduate student at the time, Ian Harker. So there was a college outside the city of Oakland, very close to Berkeley campus. And in 1960s, there were 114 graduate students graduate from the college. They're all female students. So they analyzed the smiles. Actually, they analyzed the pictures of all those girls at the year, because they have to graduate, so they took a lot of pictures. So in the yearbook, they discovered those pictures, then enlarged those pictures, analyzing the facial muscles of those people to see who is faking, who is not. Then they went back to survey those people 30 years later, made this great discovery. So those students, those girls who used to display Duchenne smile, like this girl, and they actually get married by age 27 with a high percentage rate. So those people who know how to smile actually can get married much earlier, faster than those people who don't know how to smile. This is advice to those people still looking for the significant others. Learn how to smile. So this class, tonight's class, may help you to solve your love problems, right? They also find that those people who displayed Duchenne smiles 30 years ago, they're more likely to stay in marriage 30 years later. Also report higher rate of happiness. So you can see how to smile actually help your marriage. So how do we do that? People may say, after so many years struggle, I don't know how to smile. Right? I heard some people say, I lost the ability to smile. Actually, your ability is innate. So Darwin actually said, all the smiling abilities are human natures. We actually discover evidence to support his claim because those kids, when they're born blind, they couldn't see anybody's face. After the born, 4 weeks later, they display automatically the smiling face. They couldn't see anybody's facial smiling face, but they know how to smile. The meaning that's human natures. So follow the Wang Yangming advice. Follow your natures. You actually will know how to smile. So how to do that? An interesting study was conducted by Professor Susanne. He asked those students in his school to do this very simple trick. Basically, put a pencil or pen in your mouth, bite it with your teeth, not your lips, with your teeth. Just let me show you. Oh, this is too huge, but I can show you how to do that. Basically, doing this way. Then look at the mirror for 3 minutes. You almost smile right there, right away. So fake smile can actually make you smile because the facial muscles, it has this neural network, neural pathway to your brain. It will automatically explain you're smiling, you're happy. That's what we call the facial feedback hypothesis proposed by Charles Darwin, no other people, the great Charles Darwin, also Professor Paul Ackerman. So you can smile to your happiness. The second practice you can do based on Chinese Buddhist teaching is a bodily practice, to act, to do something. When you feel bad and unpleasant and distressed, you actually can do many things. Touch your bodies. You may be surprised. One thing you can do is actually clap. You may be surprised. That's actually touch your body, right? Touch your stomach, the heart. Actually, touch your body can make you feel good. And also, breathe deeply, particularly when you feel very angry, upset. Take in a lot of air in your lungs. You actually calm you down. Smile fragrance. And also be mindful. Or even just shout out. When you feel very upset, you can shout out in your bathroom, not in front of other people. You will make lots of social problems, right? Or writing diaries. Some people say, no, like a healthy man write a diary these days. That's wrong. We find that writing diary is actually a useful form of social self-helping. Of course, talking is very important. But how to generate the positive emotions like exercise, travel, playing games, taking care of your pets, touching other people, drinking coffee, tea, surprisingly, right? Listening to music, singing, meditation, performing good deed. So there are lots of ways we can help us to do that. Number 3, actually, verbal practice, communications. We find that talking to other people can help you. But you cannot talk about something good. You have to talk about something a little bit critical, but not too much. There's a ratio. It's called the 5-to-1 ratio. So when you're in your communications, 5 positive communications versus 1 negative communication. The worst is all negative communications. The real killers of any social relation is criticism, contempt comments, and also defensive communication or stonewalling, basically no talking. So Professor John Goodman and published a book talk about the 4 horsemen that actually could bring your marriage or any social relation to an end, and that is the criticism, unhealthy communication. There's another form of a positive communication. It's called express your gratitude. Whenever you have time, spend a few minutes to think about it in your whole life. Who is the person who actually helped you, make you a person right now. And think about it, when you meet this person, what kind of good words, good expressions you could come up, you could talk to, you could communicate to other people. So that's very helpful. Number 4, the ways you can deal with the stress problems caused by the pandemics is doing this mindful practice, is what we call the flow. Professor Csikszentmihalyi, who is a very famous American psychologist, in 1975 published this book based on 15 years of research he conducted. He followed a group of very successful individuals in the United States, tried to find out the code, the secrets of success. He found that it's not because the IQ higher than other people, EQ higher than other people, education better than other people, family better than other people. He found that the only unique experience that is shared by those people is actually whenever they're doing something they like to do, they can get into the state, the mental state he called flow. I call that Fuliu, because this flow is very much like a Chinese philosophy Zhuangzi story, the so-called Pao Ding Jie Niu. Basically, the cook Ding, the axe, carrying the axe. So if you are interested in the story, reading more Chinese philosophies, you probably discover the flow is already in people's life. The number 5 ways to increase your well-being and happiness, or even enhance your ability to fight depressions or any unpleasant experience, is what we call the visual practice. There's appreciations. Appreciate anything that is wonderful, that is great, that is beautiful in your life. Just like Helen Keller, the famous American writer. She was a blind person, but she said, even I, as a blind person, I can see many things. She said, she can see the leaf, she can see the flower, she can see the stream, she can see almost everything. So she wants to give advice to all of us who are not blind. Enjoy our life, enjoy our experience. To smell something, just feel like you cannot smell tomorrow. To see something, just like tomorrow you cannot see. To hear something that is beautiful, present in your life, just like you may not be able to hear tomorrow. So doing everything, enjoy everything in your moment, in your life, in your surroundings. That is the positive ability. That is the essence of my suggestion to all of you to how to fight the stress caused by these pandemics. Thank you very much.